fanatics, welcome to the first edition of the Bulletproof Podcast for 2026. I am your host, Chris the Brain. Joining me on this episode, it is the real Toyman, Ryan Campbell.
Ooh, taking the title from Toyman. Thank you, Brain. For those of you that were in our Facebook page, you may have saw that my Christmas present to Brain was a custom Charles Bronson Death Wish 3 figure that I worked very hard on. I'm glad you liked it, Brain. But yeah, welcome everyone to the first podcast of 2026. Always an exciting time. I always enjoy the new year, wrapping up 2025, getting nostalgic for, when all your apps start showing you everything you did throughout the year and you start thinking about what could possibly come in 2026. It's an exciting time, Brain.
And
who will be the Gary Robbins of 2026?
Well, we might start it today. Who knows? If you're the Toyman, I guess that makes Chris DePetrillo the soap opera man. Welcome back, Chris.
I mean, I'm not against being the soap opera man. I certainly have the know-how and the knowledge to be that, but I'm not going to throw any shade Ryan Campbell's way. He can take the Toyman title for tonight because that was a pretty kick-ass Christmas present he sent your way. But there is nothing stopping the original Toyman, that being me, from being back here with you guys, reunited after the holidays. Hopefully the holidays treated everybody out there very well, and we are back to kick off the year looking at the reunion. We have reunited to watch the reunion of people that basically have propped Bulletproof action up over the years. Many of the action greats are going to be discussed here tonight.
And Brain, before we get going, I feel like we have to reflect a little bit on the Golden Butt Horns. What a time.
Oh, boy.
What a way to close out 2025.
I'm surprised. I think the reason you sent me that gift is because you knew you were going to be acting up at the award ceremony and you didn't want me pissed off at you.
That's pretty much it. I was thinking ahead, Brain. I was trying
preemptive strike.
Yep, I was trying to build up some clout so that when I acted out, when all the action eyes were on us, you might give me a pass.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, yes, definitely. If you tuned into the Golden Butthorns last week, we do appreciate that. It was our special year-end spectacular. And I want to thank everybody who helped make that possible. Also, I do want to thank you for the Bronson action figure. It definitely was unexpected. I knew you earlier in the year were messing around with some Superman stuff. So when you told me, "Oh, I've got something for you," I'm like, "Oh, he worked out the kinks, and it's going to be something Superman related," which would have been obviously perfectly fine. And I opened that box, and I'm like, "What in the hell is this?" Death Wish. Whoa. Oh, it was beautiful. So
I tried to make it look so I have some hot toys as well. So I even tried to use how do they do it? I got the image. I created a logo. It says Bulletproof Toys and everything. It was as much fun for me to make, I will say. I thought of the idea last year, but I was unemployed. So it's been like a year in the works to get to kind of conceptualize this, but it was a lot of fun.
I also, other action related gifts. I got the Canon Ninja trilogy in 4K from Remo. So thanks, dog. Matt Spector. Speaking of action figures, I got a Yaphet Kotto action figure.
Dang.
From Alien. I didn't even know that thing existed. So now I have.
Was it an Eye of the Tiger custom?
I wish it were. But it's his Parker from Alien. I did not know that existed, so got that too. Want to thank Matt for that. Did you guys get any action related gifts? Toyman, the original Toyman. Go ahead.
I did. I got 1/3 of that trilogy that you got. Although I am a fan of all of those excellent ninja movies. One in particular, which we have discussed many times on the site, on the podcast. It was the first R-rated movie that I ever saw when I was 4 years old, and it ended up being the first R-rated movie that my son ended up seeing when he was 4 years old. So traditions continue in the Toyman household. So Zach got me the Revenge of the Ninja 4K. Beautiful. So I now own it on a taped off of HBO VHS from 1985. I own the commercial release VHS. I own the DVD. I own the Blu-ray, and now the 4K.
You got all bases covered. Ryan Campbell, did you get it? Well, you had a flamethrower. I saw that. I don't know if
I did. Yeah, and I got a flamethrower, which was my to
be like your hero, Robert Ginty, the charismatic Robert Ginty.
I brought it as an exchange gift to the family gift exchange and then got my own gift. But there's a story behind this.
Okay.
My nephew, who is just turning 18, joined the adult gift exchange for the first time this year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And my cousin at the time had the flamethrower and I brought it. For those of you out there who do gift exchanges, the best advice I can give is bring something that you'd be happy getting yourself. If everybody does that, it usually turns out good.
Right.
So my cousin had it and he lives on some land and I was like, okay, cool. He can have it. That's fine. But then my little nephew stole it. And listen here, Brain. This is his first year. And your first year in the adult gift exchange, you're going to walk out with a flamethrower? No. So I pulled number 1 in the numbers. So I got my pick of the litter at the end. I took that shit back.
Wow. Take that. Yeah. Lesson learned.
Yeah. You know what years I walked away with like a mug or some shit, you gotta work your way up. You gotta pay your dues before you can just get a flamethrower in the gift exchange. But beyond that, my kids, they're about really the only other people that I really get gifts from, being a divorced single dad. And there's not a ton of people getting me gifts, but my son got me like a light up Star Wars sign for like my shelf, which is pretty cool. And then I got some money from my parents for some sim racing stuff that I want to get and get some new pedals and stuff like that. But it was just a lovely holiday. It's always as fun as always. It's fun. My son got out with a Switch 2 and a PC. So that dude cleaned up, did game busters, man.
Bastard. What? He's the rudest to me. But listen,
divorced parents, Brain.
That's right. Oh, see, two sets competing. Well, there you go. And thank you for reminding me how old I am by telling me that your nephew is now 18. Okay. I don't want to hear it. All right.
For real.
If you all out
Lyle
there,
could technically drive next year if he wanted to.
This is scary.
How's that do it?
I'm old. If you all out there listening, hey, if you got some cool stuff for over the holidays, share it with us on social media at Bulletproof Pod on X, and
if you're on YouTube, just hit that comment section down below.
Hit up the comment section in YouTube, and of course, we're also at Bulletproof Action on Instagram and Facebook. But the holidays are over, but we have a different kind of celebration going on because it is Remembering Richard Norton Week on BulletproofAction.com. It kicked off yesterday with a very special Richard Norton from A to Z covering his entire career. We've also got tomorrow, we got a pair of reviews coming up. First is Matt Spector with a review of 1989's Hyperspace, which is a movie I have no idea what it's about, but you know what? It has Big John Studd in it, which is interesting. And then Toyman, you're going to be hitting up the Richard Norton archives for something special for No Surrender Cinema on Thursday.
Yes, I'm going to be taking a look at a movie that has been very divisive among the Bulletproof Action staff in years. It was talked about a long time ago, not by myself, but I'm going to take a look back at Ironheart, which co-stars the great Bolo Young as well.
Oh, yeah, they put Bolo Young on the cover like he's the star of it, and then you watch it, and he's not the star, but Richard Norton's in there, and so some great music to kick things off, and I'm sure you will be mentioning that and much more in the latest No Surrender Cinema. And we will be wrapping up our Remembering Richard Norton Week with that interview that I mentioned 2 weeks ago, that interview unpublished prior to this, done by Mike Leader, talking to Richard Norton about many aspects of his career. So definitely a great week, a great way to kick off 2026 here on the podcast and on bulletproofaction.com as we remember one of the true legends in front of the camera, behind the camera, Richard Norton. A huge loss to the action community last year. Glad we are getting to celebrate him, and we're going to do it right here because we're covering, Chris, one of what really has to be probably his last completed film, Black Creek.
Yes, and what a send-off, what a way to go out, surrounded by his peers. This is a film that features people that really have propped up Bulletproof Action and kind of brought us to the dance, because this was really a Hall of Fame. You don't get any better than this. People have seen films like The Expendables, which brought together, Stallone, Van Damme, Jason Statham. But here you had Richard Norton surrounded by so many of the people that we wax nostalgic on from that cable and direct-to-video era.
Absolutely. And it all starts off with Sheriff John Jennings, played by Patrick Kilpatrick, who we saw numerous times last year, Ryan Campbell.
Yeah, one that stuck out to me was Class of 1999. That was one that we did later in the year that he was really good in. But yeah, we saw him a few times in 2025, and we're kicking off 2026 with him playing the grizzled sheriff who, trying to keep the town in line. A lot of times, Brain, those sheriffs in those Western towns had their own kind of sordid past. A lot of them weren't lawmen for the whole time. And you kind of get that vibe from him here. And this is in his later years, and he's trying to give back to the community.
So, you get Patrick Kilpatrick playing things on the up and up here,
Right.
Playing against type a little bit. Usually he's a scenery chewing villain, but he was a legitimate good guy here.
I was going to say, you mentioned that this is later years. I was wondering, the Old West, and that was a hard time. All these people honestly could be 22.
That's a good point.
Everything just ages
true, yeah.
much quicker back then. Because,
that Dust Bowl was a son of a bitch, Brain.
Yeah. So I don't know. But yeah, he mentions he had to put a man down, and, his wife is there like, you're the sheriff. Sometimes you got to do that. I'm sure he deserved it. And next thing you know, they're all around the table. It's him, his deputy Clayton, John's wife Lizzie, their daughter Katie, and John's sister Janie, who is sweet on Clayton. And they're all having dinner. There's taters involved. Who doesn't love a good potato, right, Toyman?
I mean, it depends. I mean, back then, there's probably the good chance that there's a lot of dust blowing around in it. It can't be deep fried. What kind of taters are we talking about here in Black Creek?
It looked like they were mashed potatoes in the bowl, if I had to guess.
It looks like, yeah. You can't go wrong with mashed potatoes.
That's true.
During the conversation, they mention that Damian Sinclair is the devil himself. So that little nugget there dropped, and we're going to find out real quick who that is. Then they start reminiscing about Aunt Rose, who left 3 years ago because Ryan Campbell, she's not the type of woman you could tie down. She's a free spirit, and she had to go out in the world.
Yep, she's out there, which for a woman at this time to have that kind of agency and to be that rough, you've got to even survive in that world, you've got to be rough. So she's out finding her own way, and they hope to see her back again because all the other women probably, look up to her a little bit.
Oh yeah, and they had fun back in the day.
Getting a little boozed up, Brain.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
What else can you do back then? There's no TV. You're not binge watching Netflix back then.
You weren't watching soap back then. You didn't even use soap most days. At least Roy didn't. We'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, as dinner's wrapping up, Lizzie's starting to clean up, and that's when she goes outside and spots Sinclair and his men coming. John tells Janie, Katie, and Lizzie to go hide in the barn, but Lizzie, doing the old stand by your man gimmick, she ain't leaving his side, and she joins John and Clayton as they square off with Sinclair, who is none other than the man we are paying tribute to this week, Richard Norton. Richard Norton in this role, Toyman, spectacular. One of his best roles, I think.
A very regal villain. They mention it later in the film that he considers himself the emperor of this Old West town. So they really do take advantage of the Aussie accent and kind of his just swagger that he still carried in his later years by making him, we talk about Patrick Kilpatrick playing against type a little bit, playing a lawman. It should not go unsaid that Richard Norton has played a great villain several times, including against Cynthia Rothrock in Lady Dragon. So to see them square off against each other again here, perfect casting.
Yeah. Norton was definitely one of those guys who almost like a utility player. He could do whatever you need. If you needed him to be the villain, he could be the villain. If he could be the hero, he could be the sidekick to the hero. He could be just a henchman amongst all the villains. He could do anything. Again, this is why I said it was such a huge loss, because he gave so much to the action world. But he's going to be taking away here because he's telling John he's taken over. He's taken over Black Creek. He's taken over John's land. John killed one of his guys earlier. He's going to kill one of his now. And then Ryan Campbell, he goes ahead and kills Lizzie, his wife.
Yeah, just not even just going right for the jugular right off the bat. Not even, often some of the less important people and working your way up to the wife. Just man, going for the head right off the bat. And I'd love to know a little more about whatever that weapon is that he has throughout the film. It's like
he's got like a
staff with like
walking
a
stick type.
Yeah, and it's got like little like things sticking out at the 4 different points, and like I don't know, but I wouldn't. It definitely appears like I don't want to get hit with it.
Yeah, Clayton gets to see it up close and personal because he just gets his head bashed in by it,
Right?
Which causes Janie, who was hiding in the barn, to come run out because that's the man she loves. And Sinclair sees that and is like, but he also sees her and he's like, he likes what he sees. So he's like, take her to the brothel. And then he goes ahead and shoots John in the head. This is one mean bastard, Toyman.
It is. The one thing that took me out of this scene a little bit, and it happens a little bit later in the movie too, is, modern times, you're using modern technology to produce and finish your film. I missed the practical effects that were used in the films that, the Cynthia Rothrock, Richard Norton, Jeff Wincott style movies, because the CGI blood kind of took me out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I guess that just goes to show how far they were willing to go to show the brutality of what Damien Sinclair was capable of.
I think some of that though is unfortunate that it's now become cheaper to do that,
and obviously much safer.
Yeah. Right. It's easier to just do that in post than have to like create fake blood, rig up some system to do it. Like years ago, it was still cheaper to do it practical because the cost of animators and all that other stuff. But we've now reached the point where these movies like this on a budget, it's cheaper to just throw a CGI, blood splat effect in there and move forward.
Yeah. And even that, there's definite levels of how good that could be. I've seen some very horrible CGI blood. This was kind of, I would say, middle of the road. It wasn't.
I think it benefits that the whole movie is very shot dark. I mean, because it's the West, a lot of the scenes take place at night, especially the action scenes, which gives them a little bit of cover when it comes to things like CGI and all that stuff. It looks a little less hokey. But I like to think that, a lot of it just comes down to the movie. It's a feat that the movie even got made, Brain, and it took a lot of push from the actors to get it done. So I'm sure if they could have had on-set blood, they would have. It probably just came down to, what they had to do to get the movie made.
Right. Again, this was a crowdfunding movie in large part. So, they were working with limited resources, but they pulled it off. The next day we meet Richard, played by the one and only, one of my favorites, who was in far too little, Toyman, Keith Cook.
Keith Cook, when you see his name in the cast, you think again, you've got Cynthia Rothrock, Richard Norton. It's a reunion of the great China O'Brien films, which we have talked about previously on the Bulletproof podcast. Make sure you go back and check that episode out because it's actually combined with parts 1 and 2
on the YouTube channel. Yeah, you can hear them both back to back.
Yep, and also a favorite from King of the Kickboxers as Prong. Just so many great roles, so many great action scenes, and really, I mean, underutilized. And I know that these folks, as much as we love them, they are up there in years. So could it have been a health thing? Can you perform as well as you used to be able to? Are you up to speed? Are you up to par with stuff? So. Or was it just a production decision? Was he only available for a certain amount of time? As far as going that deep into it, I'm not sure, but that is someone that you can't get enough of him. Whether it's as Dakota, as Prong, just he's played so many great characters over the years, and he was always fun to watch fighting on screen.
Yeah, I always thought he should have been in way more movies, though. He had a great look and obviously great skills. But here he plays Richard, who is apparently a friend of the Jennings family. He sees Katie grieving over the bodies of her fallen loved ones and offers her a place to stay and says he'll give her family a proper burial. And that's all happened. This has all happened before the opening credits.
What a cold open.
Very cold if you're that damn Damien Sinclair. So we get the opening credits. And then back in town, back to Black Creek. It's Rose, played by our star of the film, the woman behind it all, the producer, the writer, the one and only Cynthia Rothrock. And she's riding up to her brother's property that has a bunch of Sinclair's men, who she refers to as chicken fuckers. And
as Wild West insults go, that's got to be a pretty rough
that's
one.
a
Brandon.
good one. Yeah.
It also it implies not only bestiality, but probably also that you got a small pecker.
Oh wow, yeah, you're probably right. And she finds out her family has been killed, and she just starts shooting. She doesn't ask any questions after that. She just shoots them. But she does ask after she does a little bit of shooting. Like, well, what about Janie and Katie? You mentioned, my brother and my sister-in-law, but she doesn't get much information at that point. She leaves one of the chicken fuckers alive just to deliver a message to Sinclair that she's coming.
That's right. You always got to leave one alive to tell the tale.
And and then she goes into town, and she's just like, what the hell has happened to this town? So then she pops into the brothel, figuring perhaps that a ne'er-do-well like Sinclair would be hanging out at the brothel. And then, Toyman, we get this was one of the characters that I think I hated the most, even more so than Sinclair, was the madam of the brothel. What a...
Yeah, she's got that real... I know her name is Forbes Riley, and she's she's not a reality person. She's like a pitch person, but she's done a couple of movies. Like, she's been like a character actress, but she has that Real Housewives, like belongs on a Bravo TV show kind of snideness to her.
I hated her. I absolutely hated her.
Are we saying like go home heat or heel heat?
Like, I wanted to see her shot in the head heat.
Okay, gotcha. I don't know if that really helps clarify.
Brain wanted to implement some CGI blood into the brothel.
I did. She just was a nasty, just a horrible human being. And she's like, he's not here. Maybe he's at the casino that he runs. So, all right. Well, so then Rose goes
Because
head
that's
over
what
there.
you do. If someone comes looking for the main villain, you give his exact location away.
Mm-hmm. But when Rose leaves, then Katie shows up looking for her aunt, and she's like, no, she's busy. She's a little tied up today. You sick. And now Rose on the way to the casino. This is where we meet the character of Roy Toyman.
Yeah, our Marcus Taylor, who I believe long ago, when you had the interview with Don the Dragon Wilson, Don the Dragon kind of pitched him as his big breakout star because he worked with him in that Paying Mr. Maggette movie.
He did. I interviewed our Marcus Taylor as well that week. So that was
that's right. That's right.
The whole, yeah. And you know what? Our Marcus Taylor, what movie is he responsible for on YouTube? I want to say it's Super Fights. He's the one who posted Super Fights. He's the reason I got to watch that movie.
Really? I never even realized that.
Pretty sure it's him who has posted friggin' Super Fights. So he's okay in my book. And Super Fights is one we'll probably definitely be talking about at some point later.
Yeah, just celebrated its 30th anniversary.
So we'll be on that one. So yeah, he's hitting on her. He's drunk. He's hitting on her, and she hits back, but not in the way he would like her to. She just literally hits the man. And then she's like, where is, freaking Sinclair? And he mentions one of the Stooges, Hank Winslow, who runs this fight ring. Ryan Campbell.
Speaking of super fights.
That's right. Ryan Campbell, if you're going to have a fight ring in the Old West, it would certainly look just like this, would it not?
I would say so. There's not a lot of giant open areas that were existing. I guess it could be just like a barn somewhere, but if you don't always have those in the town. So yeah, what's the next best option? You just go out back by the horse area, stables, fenced in area, throw some hay bales down, and there you go. You got your fight ring. And Take your bets. We
get to see Super Fight's own Keith Vitale, who we, of course, talked about last year. No Retreat, No Surrender 3 Blood Brothers, taking on another legendary man in the action world, Toyman.
Yeah, the one and only Benny the Jet, who is playing this. I guess you could say out of the fight, he's probably the heel because he's kind of playing it with a little bit of savage intensity. It's a very fluid fight, but he's kind of got this little wild man demeanor to him.
Yeah, and it was kind of weird that Keith Vitale. Well, obviously, we didn't get any backstory behind who these people are, but he had like a pretty fancy outfit on. Like it wasn't like he was dressed up like a down on his luck, fighting because he's poor kind of thing. He had like a nice like vest on and like a tie and like a nice outfit.
Yeah, they were probably gambling in the casino and maybe things got a little heated. And he's like, let's go outside.
Maybe. I didn't like how they sped up the scene a few times in this fight scene. I don't know if it was necessary. I don't know if they just thought it was moving too slow. So they thought they would just kind of put it up like 1.4 speed. It wasn't like a ton. It wasn't like
right. It was just enough that you could tell they did.
Just enough. And if you looked at the people in the background, all the bystanders along the edge, that's where you could really see it because they're cheering and they would like all of a sudden cheer up real fast. But not sure it was necessary. But just kind of took me out of it a little bit there.
That did happen several times during the movie, and I understand that it might be coverage for the fact that these folks are not the same as when they were filming their classic films and stuff like that. But to that point, they're working with what they had to do. We mentioned it. It was a crowdfunded production, a low budget production. So they were just trying. I think they were trying to make it to where I don't want to say flaws because that's the wrong way to put it, but where the age didn't show as much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They wanted it to look like when they were all in their prime.
They were crisp. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
moving quickly. Yep, sudden. Benny does win the match with his version of the camel clutch. And that's all we see of them. That was just kind of a nice little. That definitely like they were there for a day and they had a little name value.
Right. Called in a favor and there you go.
I mean, that really is like a throwback to the video store era where you'd grab something with the promise of, Wings Hauser is in this movie and he's in it for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, Rose approaches Hank
like the first Expendables.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Rose approaches Hank for info on Sinclair, and he's the one who's running the fight ring there. But belligerent Roy isn't far behind, and he brought with him his knife that he has named Miss Betty, not to be confused, of course, with Bobby Heenan's personal secretary, Miss Betty, who he often was talking to on the phone.
Yeah, I would imagine that was a confusion a lot of people had, Brain. So I'm happy you.
I wanted to point that out, that if I say Miss Betty, I'm not talking about a secretary. But yeah, Miss Betty, and he challenges Rose to a fight in the ring, and she wins and spares his life, and that's going to come into play not too long after this. And during that fight, Toyman, she couldn't help but notice that Richard was among those watching. So when she goes into the saloon for a drink, Richard follows her in, and there was something between these two at one point.
Yeah, at first it was very akin to China O'Brien, the way that Dakota kind of helped from the sidelines until he actually aligned with China O'Brien and Matt, which was Richard Norton's character. But in this one, it would appear that Rose and Richard are former lovers because he kind of pours his heart out while they're getting their drinks poured at the bar.
Yeah, he offers condolences. He does give her some good news, I guess somewhat good news. It was kind of a good news, bad news thing. The good news is Janie's alive. The bad news is she's working at the brothel. But the very good news, Ryan Campbell, is that Katie is alive and has been safe with him since the incident.
That's right. There's finally some good news in this mess of a situation she just wrote into. And yeah, saying that Janie is working is a kind way of putting it, Brain.
She's a working girl. We get our first bastard, first of 6 bastards. Ooh. Very, very respectable number. Not going to get you on the list, but maybe next time you can shoot for 10. So Rose goes back to Richard's place. Her and Katie reunite. She promises Katie she's going to make the killers pay. And meanwhile, just in case, Ryan Campbell, just in case we weren't clear that Sinclair is pure evil, we get yet another scene of him trying to take someone's land.
Hey, you got to establish that that he's taking over this town one plot at a time. It wasn't a vendetta against the sheriff. It's just his overarching plan to own all the town through this shady. I don't know who he knows in the land deed office that he's just getting paperwork that says he owns the land. But I guess that's how it worked back then. But yeah, so he gets a few more kills and gets some more real estate in his portfolio, and it's all just building up to be one son of a bitch.
Yeah, and the line when he has his guy slice the dude's abdomen and the guts are pouring. Oh, I guess you did have some guts after all.
Ooh, that was a good line.
He's good. He's just again. I was like, I don't want to make it seem like, oh, of course it's Richard Norton. He really was freaking awesome in this movie. He just stole the show for me. We cut to Rose, Katie, and Richard, and they're visiting the graves of John and Lizzie and Clayton. Richard is like, hey, you need to just let this go. Let's give our relationship another chance. You don't want to go messing with somebody like Sinclair. But of course, Rose, that's in one ear, out the other, because next thing you know, Ryan, she's going to the casino. I'm just a farmer's wife. And she's fighting men like she ain't just a farmer's wife.
No, she and he has to know that she was never going to go for that. Like, if you guys had any kind of relationship, you have to know that she's not just going to be able to let this go. But yeah, she's the goal here is just to get in front of Sinclair, and I don't think she thinks that's going to be able to do that in her kick-ass persona. So she decides to go in disguise and see if she can't get an audience with the man this way.
And she does, but it does not go as she hoped. And next thing you know, this not well thought out plan backfires, and Sinclair tells his guys, hey, have your way with her, then take her out and dump what's left for the coyotes. And they do. And when they dump her, though, Toyman, Roy finds her and takes her to one of your all-time favorites for help.
That's when we get the appearance of the previously mentioned Don the Dragon Wilson. He is here playing Zhang, who it kind of made me chuckle. So he is supposed to be like, the Indian wise man. He says he's half Apache, half Chinese, and that gave me flashbacks to Blood Fist 3 when he was Jimmy Boland, and the character was played as half Japanese, but all through the film they called him the Chinaman. Because it was all about the racism in the prison and the racial slurs they would use. So that kind of gave me, like, obviously I'm sure they're trying to work in Don's Asian heritage into the film. Like, why does this Indian character have, an Asian look to him? But I felt like it was almost kind of like the same excuse that they used in Blood Fist 3, which is another great film.
And he played a Native American in that one he did with Roddy Piper. What was it? Terminal something or another. It was like Die Hard at some kind of thing. Was it Terminal Rush?
Yes. Yep.
Terminal Rush. Yeah, he was a Native American in that one as well. But yeah, he of course is he's got all kinds of herbs and medicine that will help Rose recuperate, because she was basically dead, Ryan Campbell.
Yeah, and in the Wild West, Brain, if you get a paper cut if you don't treat it right, that sucker, you're dead by morning. Right. Yeah, so you beat someone with an inch of their life and then just leave them outside. That deed is done. So it's going to take quite a bit of time, rest, and Native American herbal medication to get her back. But at least she's in good hands now.
Yeah, and she seems to go on some sort of spiritual journey. He must have gave her some peyote or something. But
yeah, I'd love to know if part of I'd love to know part of the Kickstarter campaign bonuses. You know how they're always like, hey, if we hit this limit, we'll give you some special behind the scenes stuff. I would love to see just the still photos of all those actors that are like flashing on the screen in this scene, because there are some goofy faces that some of these well-renowned actors are making throughout that process.
When she comes to, Zhang says, hey, how are you? No, he doesn't say that. They say like, oh, we found this badge, and that it was the badge that belonged to her brother. So, she kind of gets emotional. We also learn that Zhang's donkey is named Water Dragon. Well, that's what the meaning is, but she is able to decipher, Ryan Campbell, that that it's Native American talk.
Yes, she uses all of her detective skills to find out that the name Miniwatu is possibly, maybe, an inkling brain. I'm leaning towards it possibly being Native American.
Yeah, if this was Sanford and Son, Grady would have turned to Fred and said, "Man, Fred, that's Indian talk." But yeah, when she
now
gets
who's making the outdated references here, Brain?
I would say too. Back in this time, did they? I don't think people used Native American.
Right. That's why Grady wouldn't have used it.
Right. Yeah.
He would have said
I think we've retroactively used that here in the modern era.
So yeah, when she gets the badge, and let me tell you something, is Sanford and Son greater than soap any goddamn day of the week. Now, anyway, flashback to her last conversation with John, so we get a little bit more Patrick Kilpatrick content in here, Ryan Campbell, because too was also only on set for a day or two.
Yep, it's always nice when you get to see these what we thought was maybe a short cameo come back in some flashbacks. So it was nice.
He's there. Now, meanwhile, Richard is going to go see Sinclair because he wants to know what the hell he did to Rose because he still has feelings for Rose. But we now are starting now. This is where my heart was broken, Toyman, because it's like, oh, wait a minute. Keith Cook, one of my favorites. He might be in with some bad things going on here. He calls John Jennings a rat bastard. Apparently there was a squabble over land. And now he's
not just land, Brain, a silver mine
on the land. Yeah. So now he's basically making a deal with the devil, Toyman. This is wrong.
Yeah, at this point, I was almost wondering, like, is Keith Cook kind of doing like an undercover gig? Like, is he trying to buddy up to Sinclair so that he can help Rose on this mission of vengeance? But then you realize that he's like, just let this go. And you're like, well, son of a bitch, he actually is trying to kind of get her out of the way so that he can work out these shenanigans with Sinclair. So, yeah, Keith Cook with the heel turn halfway through the film.
I don't know if it's a direct heel turn, though. I think it's almost more like a Lando turn, Brain.
Oh,
like he's not fully evil. Like he still has feelings for Rose. He still wants to be there for Katie. Katie. Yeah. I was looking at the IMDb here and I read the real name. And I think it's just like you said, he made a deal with the devil and the deal's getting worse all the time. It's almost like this is a very Lando kind of turn. And if we got a sequel, could we see a further redemption possibly? I don't know.
Or does he go even deeper? We'll get to that.
Possibly.
So back at Zing's camp, Zing is now like training and teaching Rose things because she's back up on her feet. And Roy returns with some special weapons from the blacksmith. These things are things I feel like Ryan Campbell would want in his collection.
Why is that? I like trinkets. I'm a trinket guy, Brain.
That's what I'm saying. I could see you cosplaying as a cowboy, and
I had my cowboy phase when I played Red Dead Redemption the first time.
Exactly. You are very impressionable.
Yeah, I remember we went to Gatlinburg shortly after I was playing Red Dead Redemption, and I came dangerously close to getting some cowboy boots.
See, I know you. And how does she repay Roy for this special gift? Toyman, she starts telling him that he stinks.
Which comes into play later on when Don the Dragon makes fun of him for being lazy, and we actually get a fart sound effect in this excellent martial arts cast reunion. We go for the lowbrow humor, which, you know what? I'll still laugh at most fart jokes.
Love it. And also, props to the costuming department for the Pitts yellow stains that they put on Roy's outfit there. Yeah.
I was going to say
the assignment.
I was going to say Roy's fart may have been an homage to Blazing Saddles.
Possibly.
Anyone?
Maybe. They worked in there.
Anyone? All right. So Rose goes back to Richard's to retrieve Katie. And Richard's obviously surprised she's alive because last he heard she's dead. And now he's like, wait a minute, you're taking Katie out in the middle of the desert? What's happening here? Well, We'll find out. Janie gets the chance to be Sinclair's personal whore.
What an honor, Brain.
But she's not very happy. She does not accept this position. And then that madam comes and escorts her back to the brothel.
That damned madam.
And not Madam from Solid Gold that had her own sitcom. Not that Madam, right,
I
Brain?
knew that was
Here we
coming.
go.
I knew that was coming. I baited him a little bit on that one, Brain.
Brain would rather it be that Madam.
Maybe, but I knew you would talk.
I only know that
Madam
reference
Blake.
from Family Guy more than anything else.
Look up Madam's Place on YouTube after we record.
I already
this,
sent
Ryan
it
Campbell.
to him. I sent it to him shortly after Soap. And I'm like, he's going to mention this one day on the freaking podcast. And it's now come true.
Yep.
You're the
First
worst.
prediction for 2026 has come true. There was a Madam reference on this action podcast, folks.
Oh, shit. Anyway, Roy's like, hey, I got a plan to get Janie out, but I'm going to need some money. Unfortunately,
Apparently a lot of money.
Yeah, Zhang needs, he's just like, he has anything you need there. He's like, I got some money stashed away for something special. So he gives him a fistful of dollars.
He sold his kombucha recipe to some Silicon Valley hedge fund guy a few years ago. So he's got some money stashed away.
All right. I don't think that was a thing then, but all right. I believe you. Roy shows up at the brothel with that fistful of dollars and is like, I've heard some good things about one of your ladies, Janie. And when you have that kind of money, that madam's not going to question anything. And he wanted it obviously so he could just have unlimited time with this woman. They weren't going to go looking like, okay, have her for as long as you need, whatever.
You get your pick of the litter with that much dough. Yeah.
So, and other whores, of course, are like, see that money and they're doing what whores do. And they're like, oh, are you sure you don't want to whore with me? Or no. And you have to wonder, Toyman, because obviously he had a little bit of a rough start. Is he going to go back to being a no good bastard? We've already seen Keith Cook turn. Would Roy pick one of these other ladies?
I think that would be one too many.
You think?
I think we've established that Richard is up to no good, but Roy, because then you get the Roy versus Zane.
We also learned that Roy wasn't the smartest man on the planet.
Yeah, so he's kind of like the dopey sidekick. Like
that's why I think that's where I was a little like, oh no, they're not going to dupe poor Roy into like, oh, you can have us both instead of just that one.
They'll play it like malicious. They play it almost just like dopey, like he's gonna
not like he's like, fuck Janie, like he just would be tricked out of it because he's not the smart. But he stuck to the plan. But unfortunately, he did not plan on Janie like being just like drugged out of her mind. She could barely.
She's got like the drug effects and like the PTSD and. Yeah, I don't know why Janie was like the prime piece of Black Creek.
Oh yeah, they liked them thick back
then.
They
did. That was the ideal woman back then.
Yeah. Rubenesque. Anyway, he gets her up to the room and Zhang shows up with some firecrackers in the hallway to cause a distraction. Rose also shows up. So it took them all, but they got her. They got Janie out of the brothel.
It takes a village to flee a horror, Brain.
A famous saying, if I've ever heard one.
Put that on the thumbnail.
When they get back to the camp, Janie now is more to her senses, and she's like, oh, that damn Sinclair, he's got army weapons and shit. And earlier, I didn't have it in the notes, but I redeemed myself here. There was a scene where there's like some deserters from the army took weapons and sold them to Sinclair. And then Sinclair, being the ultimate evil man, like, okay, go after those guys, take the money back, and then make it look like the Indians were like they scalped them.
That's all they had to do, Brain. Yeah. Oh, a whole caboose of weapons was taken by the Indians. Dang. How are you going to keep track of all this shit,
Right. So then Janie's like, he's going to have a couple of bastards watching it at all times. So
dang.
Another bastard there. Sinclair gets the news about Janie being rescued and that Rose is still alive. So it's a double whammy. He's double pissed. And then Rose is like, hey, Zing, I got a plan I want to run by you. I thought maybe we could steal the weapons, but how about we just destroy them? And of course, our man has TNT available. Like he has everything they need. But we do get a little training montage first, Toyman, because you can't just go in all willy-nilly. You need to do some training.
Yep, and we get some quality time with Don the Dragon and Cynthia Rothrock, and he's helping her get into fighting shape. Don the Dragon, another one, we get some action with his character, but not enough. I mean, obviously, this being Cynthia Rothrock's film, her character is and should be the focal point, but much like, to your point about Keith Cook, I wish we got a little bit more fist and footwork from Don the Dragon against the bad guys.
Yeah. It was a little surprise. I thought he would have at least one like elongated fight scene. Just has a brief dust up, which we'll be getting to. Sinclair is addressing his troops, including Richard. Now, Richard is now just among all the minions. And Sinclair has determined who is responsible, I believe, for Rose still being alive. He was the head goon, and he gets decapitated. Ryan Campbell.
Get it? Head goon decapitated?
Nah, now he's just goon.
Yeah, he's dead.
Head goon.
But another great, like just adding fuel to the fire of this man being pure evil.
Oh, and well, now we're seeing him. Not that we haven't seen him get his hands dirty yet, but it's always been like more like a playful, I'm in control way. Like now we're seeing him lose his cool, and he still, lashes out on his own men. So. Mm-hmm. Just adding to the gravitas of this limey bastard brain.
Are they limey if they're from Australia? Are they
blimey? They're blimey bastards then? I don't know.
Maybe. Now we find some army guys, and they find the dead army guys, and they're like, these are the traitors, all right. But do you think we're going to buy this bullshit scene that's been left for us? Hell no. I got a letter that gave me a tip on who's responsible. Let's go follow up on that. So, all right, that little tease is there. Now we get Rose and Roy going to blow up the weapons, and it almost goes off without a hitch. There's a hiccup or two, but they make it happen, and that explosion gets the attention of Sinclair. And unfortunately, though, Toyman, while Rose and Roy were away, Richard and two of Sinclair's derelicts, as Janie referred to them, show up at the camp, and this is where we do get a little bit of Don the Dragon in action.
He's trying to protect the girls, and unfortunately, another big star eliminated early on. We saw Benny the Jet and Keith Vitale kind of pop up nameless. And then Keith Vitale, the unfortunate loser of the fight pit scene. And now we get Zhang getting eliminated by Sinclair's crew.
Ryan Campbell, did you think Zhang was going to be like the Obi-Wan Kenobi of this movie and he would come back in spiritual form?
Ooh, the movie hadn't done anything. Well, I guess we did have the drug scene that could have implied some sort of spiritual realm, but no, I didn't really think that, Brain. He did fill that role and kind of brought Rose back from the dead and put her on the path, but I didn't think he was going to show up as a force ghost. If that's what you're getting at.
That's what I was thinking might happen, but maybe in the next one. When Roy and Rose return, they see what's happened. Zhang is barely alive. He does drop the bomb that Richard is with Sinclair, which gives us that bastard. Zhang then dies. Roy takes it real hard, Toyman. I would imagine you two were crying at your house.
I mean, I am the resident Don the Dragon super fan of Bulletproof action. So like I said, I certainly wish we had more time with him in the movie. But I guess for character development, it made sense because it kind of made Roy go from being the oaf of the film into a little bit more motivated to help Rose get revenge on Sinclair. So, he served a purpose.
Yeah. And he's like, this Rose problem ends tonight. So he has Katie. He doesn't know what he's going to do with her. So just let her hang out at the fight ring. Okay.
I mean, as bad as Richard is, he's probably the only thing keeping Katie alive right now.
That's true. So he's going to the fight ring, and then Janie is put in like, is it a coffin filled with rattlesnakes? Ryan Campbell, was that a thing in the Old West?
It remind me of the boombox from Hook, where they put the dude in the chest with the scorpions. That would freaked me out as a kid. That scene always just scared the shit out of me with the boom box.
I hope that this doesn't give you nightmares. Then Richard is looking.
Well, I'm older now, Brain. I'm older now. In case you didn't know,
we established that earlier. Richard is looking at the damage at the boiling water that Janie threw on his face. Very vain, Toyman. Looking, and then Rose shows up and shoots the motherfucker.
Yeah, it's was this like Richard's supervillain origin story? Now that he's like, we find out that he's a badass and he's disfigured.
Yeah, I think we might have something there. And we don't really see, I mean, we see that he got shot, but do we know that she took care of it?
It's like a reverse Lando. What if Leia had shot Lando when not told Chewie to let him go?
Yeah. Well, Rose goes into town after killing or shooting Richard. And this was my favorite scene in the entire movie. She's walking through town.
I wonder why.
She's walking through town, and this woman, this madam, who has annoyed me from the moment she was on screen, she's on her front steps of the brothel, just talking shit.
Oh, this
and
lady.
Rose just takes her gun and shoots that bitch in the fucking head. If this is where I'm like, I bet if this was in the theater, people would be cheering. They'd be throwing babies in the air. This would be the moment. But then, before she could celebrate too much, she sees dead Janie in the box. What's in the box? Dead Janie's in the box.
Oh, poor dead Janie.
And then she's surrounded.
That'd be a rough way to go, too, like in a box with like rattlesnakes. And I'm pretty sure those bites don't just like instantly kill you.
Oh, so no.
You're like, you can't move. You're just like, you can't even like, like when you get, I don't know, a bit or something, you want to like shake it or run around or, you just, that's a rough way to go. That's
exactly what people do when they get bit. Thank you for playing it out for us.
There you go.
Rose and Sinclair now face to face, and he's like, originally I was going to say my men shoot you, but I'm going to take you apart with my bare hands to the fight ring. And we get it, Toyman. This legendary duo who have been against one another and teamed up so many times. One last time, Rothrock versus Norton.
Yep, it's a reunion. It's a rematch. We get a little bit of smoke and mirrors because they're in the fight pit, and he also sends his guys after us. So we get a little like double team action before he jumps in. Just a great way for them to reconnect. There's another word with the prefix of re, the reunion, the rematch. And then we also get the classic scorpion kick when Rose is placed in a headlock. And if you have seen any Cynthia Rothrock movie from back in the day, you know that is her claim to fame, her signature move if you are a wrestling fan. And while that does not finish Mr. Sinclair off, let's just say that Rose is able to get full revenge for her family at her own hands by laying waste to Damian Sinclair.
Restitution, baby. Restitution. The army that we teased earlier now is rode into town, and they're taking care of the other bad guys.
Here comes the cavalry.
Indeed.
That old line.
Mm-hmm. And as the movie ends, Rose is now the sheriff, which is now where Toyman will talk about his second favorite Suzanne Summers sitcom. Go ahead.
Step by Step?
No,
she's the sheriff.
There you go.
Hey, look, you asked for these references tonight. I didn't even have to pull them out. It's 2026. Maybe you're coming around. Maybe you just want these things. So now when you're laying there at 1 a.m, like, what do I want to watch? Let me see if Tubi has She's the Sheriff.
It won't be that.
He's just ripping the Band-Aid off and just, taking the initiative. It hurts less when you just...
He'll just be YouTubing Madam's Place tonight. watching Judy Landers and preteen Corey Feldman as the nosy neighbor kid.
Yeah. Yeah. I did some thorough research on that a few months back because I'm like, how, did I ever? I remember seeing it, but I saw that it was 5 days a week, but there was also like
USA.
There's also was like a weekend, just like a weekend version. I feel like Cleveland had the weekend version and did not have the 5 day a week bullshit. We had the weekend recap.
I remember on USA. I went back when you like learning the ropes with Lyle Alzado a couple of years after that. I remember a lot of those USA sitcoms.
I don't remember
Or
that.
when something would end on NBC, a lot of times it would end up on USA, like Double Trouble with the Seagal twins.
That show I remember. And no relation to Steven Seagal, by the way. We do get one last bastard.
I was going to say, I didn't know Seagal was a twin like Van Damme.
No, don't start. That did not make.
We do not need a double impact with Steven.
That did not make the search term. So maybe people have finally figured it out. Rose makes Roy her deputy and talks about needing a clean shirt. Law is back in control of Black Creek. Anyone who doesn't like it, get the fuck out. She doesn't say that, but she should have. And we get the end credits, but then we get a post-credit scene. I don't know if everybody stayed to watch this.
I did not.
I did.
Post-credit scene where Stooge Hank Winslow is talking to a masked man who has found out that Sinclair is dead, but is seemingly now going to be the one taking control, and one would have to believe with the mask, it is our man Richard. Would you not say so?
That would, all the context clues seem
so.
to point to that, yes.
So there you go. Keith Cook, full heel in Black Creek 2, if that ever comes to be.
Now I'm thinking of this alternate reality where like Jabba the Hutt dies and Lando in a mask takes over his criminal empire.
Surprise, surprise, Lando in disguise. He was already in a mask at Jabba's palace.
He was.
But for good purposes, to help his friend. But yeah, there you go, folks. Who else do you think Toyman would be in Black Creek 2? Would Don the Dragon return in spirit form, do you think?
I would take Don the Dragon. Could we get Kurt McKinney? Could we get Lauren Avedon? Maybe a reunion of some of those No Retreat, No Surrender alumni. Matthias Hughes would be great to see. I believe Billy Blanks was originally rumored for this when it first got off the ground, as well as our man Olivier there. And neither one of them appeared. So maybe we could get them back for the sequel.
So Gary Daniels is always a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Would we get someone more modern like Scott Adkins?
I don't know.
He's
getting a bit too big now. He's getting too big. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. But yeah, we've got there's some people out there that weren't in
Daniel
the first
Bernhardt.
one. Daniel Bernhardt. Oh yeah, he's pretty busy though too with
that's
big
true
projects.
too. Yeah.
Maybe Bronzy.
That'd be good.
Could you now that would actually be the perfect throwback to Charles Bronson's Western filmography.
Bronzy's
if you had
done a
Robert
couple
Bronzy
Westerns.
doing that.
He's done a couple Westerns. I would like to see Nevsky as a big heel henchman, but I know he seems to like to be the hero and he likes to control his movies. But I think he would make for an excellent, like big ass bad henchman. But I guess we'll find out if we ever get to Black Creek 2. But
could we get Michael Dudikoff?
Ooh, yeah, as like he could be somebody like important. He'd be like a mayor or something. I feel maybe with the Secret Service or some gimmick.
We need like a railroad is coming through the town, and he like is the owner of the railroad company or something.
He's good. Well, we'll find out. Ryan Campbell, I know you did not have the nostalgia factor that Toyman and I had, but I know you're probably of the three of us the biggest Western fan. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I could see the novelty again. Like we had texted back and forth that if I had put myself in the mindset that if I had the connection to all of these people like that you two have, this would be much more of I think, much more fun experience than what it was. It's a little by the numbers Western tale. Not that it's a bad thing necessarily, but it was okay for what it was. If you don't have an attachment to the actors, I don't know, you're probably want to find too much enjoyment there. Richard Norton is the shining star. I think he was the best thing in the film, the best performance. I think he carries it. But yeah, it wasn't terrible, but not great. But watching it through the lens of like your guys' nostalgia, I could see where it would be a fun time.
Toyman.
To Ryan's point, to piggyback on that, and also, kind of, getting ahead of what you may say, I tried to review this without having the rose-colored glasses on because I
get it,
do love all these
Rose?
people. Yeah, see that? Wordplay, very good. And so I didn't want to be like, oh my God, this is the best movie ever, because I loved seeing these people back. The movie was not without its flaws. I wish that there was more screen time for some folks. To Ryan's point about the fighting, I understand why they did it. I wish we got some more fight scenes with some folks like Keith Cook and Don the Dragon Wilson, maybe some more of those little dream matches, even if they were brief little fights, as opposed to being a dust up, like you had said. But I am just glad that they got this off the ground. I know that this was a passion project for Cynthia Rothrock. I thought it was very cool that they went basically against what you would normally expect from a film with these people, the whole Western theme. I'm not going to say it's against type, because you do have a lot of actors here that have shown range and have done different things. But just doing a cop thriller or something like that would have been so easy, but it might have kind of been taken for granted that it was just another in the long line of things that they've done through the years and even continue to do to this day for some of them. So, the Western gimmick, I don't think it was hokey. I think they played it off very well. It was, not without its humor. I think that R. Marcus Taylor and Don the Dragon Wilson had they worked well together. I think their interplay, kind of like, the Abbott and Costello routine, where our Marcus Taylor was kind of like the oafish guy and Don Wilson was like the straight man to him. I think that there could have been a little bit more focus on that as well. But I think for the main characters, everyone was pretty well established. I agree that Richard Norton pretty much stole the show. He was just absolutely excellent as the villain, when he could have just been as excellent as a hero. And it was great to see Cynthia Rothrock and Richard Norton face off one final time. Obviously, this is our tribute to Richard Norton in podcast form because of everything that we'll be talking about on the site this week. And, what a way to cap off a career. Obviously, it was a very sad loss, but this being his final role, the final thing that everybody remembers him for, what better way to go out than to be surrounded by your friends and drawing the interest of the people that had been watching you all throughout your career, people like us that ran to the video store, that continue to rewatch some of those films to this day. This is a tribute right here, even though it was made obviously prior to his unfortunate passing. What a tribute right here to be able to make this film with one of your best friends in the business and have it be, your swan song.
Yeah, and it was nice to see that they did honor him in the end credits as well. Richard Norton, yeah, definitely. Again, I was like, oh man, I'm going to be talking about how great he is, and people are just going to think it's because we're doing it for the. But no, he really is excellent in this movie, as everyone has already stated. So I would watch it just for Richard Norton. If you're on the fence, watch Richard Norton and just how vile of a human being he portrays. It's excellent work for him.
And that's why, we've got, Ryan Campbell on the podcast, obviously Ryan being a regular on the podcast with us. To your point, like you said, Ryan does not have the same level of nostalgia for these folks that we do. A lot of these films that we're watching, it's cool to have Ryan's perspective because these are brand new to him.
Right.
Black Creek obviously being a newer film, but when we go back and look at stuff like The Mission of Justice, The Martial Law, The Lady Dragon, China O'Brien, that's still new ground for him to cover. So for Ryan Campbell to come on here and agree with the assessment that Richard Norton was great, if you're someone who doesn't want that bias of, oh, you grew up with him, oh, that's the type of stuff that you guys love. Take his word for it, go with him, because Ryan is really seeing it through the listener's eyes. Because if you're not familiar with it, if you're not like Brain and I, where you are obsessive over the martial arts and action films of the 80s and 90s, let Ryan be your guide and follow his reviews and see what he thinks of these things.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if people should let me be their guide to anything, but yes, he was really good in this film.
Yeah, Ryan Campbell is the type of person who will call Chuck Norris out on a podcast, so you might not want to follow his lead.
And get an award for it.
That's true. We did have that Missing in Action 2 debacle. That is true.
I got an award for it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that should be taken away.
If anything, I should have been more petty about it.
All right,
The Golden Butthead Award.
Here we go. Yeah. Oh, there you go. All right. Well, there we have it, folks. It is Black Creek, and it is now streaming in several different places. So if you haven't checked it out,
Tubi and Prime. Free on Prime. You don't have to rent it. Free on Prime, free on Tubi.
Right. Absolutely. So if you missed out, you can check it out. And I'm going to encourage you all to check out bulletproofaction.com this week, just filled with great Richard Norton content. But still to come, January the 16th on Netflix, The Rip. Have you guys seen this? Have you seen the previews? Have you seen the commercials? Matt Damon, Ben Affleck back together. And I was like sitting there on Christmas watching the Netflix football. And I'm like, is that freaking Scott Adkins? And hell yeah, it is. Scott Adkins is in that movie as well. I'm looking forward to it. I was already looking forward to it. But
I remember seeing like a trailer or a poster or something with just the two of them on it, but I wasn't aware that it was a Netflix movie and that we were covering it. So that's exciting.
We will be covering it on the site. We might cover it if we're all going to watch it. We might cover it here on the podcast as well.
There's a lot of familiar faces in that one.
I thought that's what you were getting at, Brain, was that's what we were doing next.
Well, we sure can. We will, and I'll probably do a review of it for the site. But yeah, we could talk about it here on the podcast as well later this month. Speaking of later this month, a brand new series that Ryan Campbell will be covering is coming later this month.
What's that, Brain? What am I covering?
The Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I'm not in 2026 mode, Brain. I got Stranger Things finale coming up, and it's the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which looks a little less weighty compared to a lot of the other Game of Thrones series and spinoffs. Kind of focuses on like one night as he kind of like the everyday boots on the ground man that's in the middle of all this shit going on around him. So it looks really good, and I'm excited for it. And I didn't even know it was coming out that soon. Jeezel Pete's.
I believe it's the 18th, but we can confirm that. But yeah, it's coming up. Also, at the end of the month, Jason Statham in Shelter. I would imagine I'll be covering that. Next week, right here on the podcast, we're going to talk about Jean-Claude Van Damme in Nowhere to Run, a classic film. Really one of those turning point movies for him where he obviously wanted to be more than just the action guy. We're going to do Nowhere to Run, and then apparently now that we've all agreed, we'll do The Rip the week after. So there's our next 2 episodes.
There you go. You get exclusive news on this podcast.
In real time that we
That's
just come up with it. So there you have it. It's been a bit since we've talked about Van Damme, so I'm glad to have him back on. And he may already be giving himself a nomination for this year's award that's named after him, but we'll find out. Toyman, anything else you want to mention before we wrap this one up?
No, just stay tuned for the first No Surrender Cinema of 2026, because we're going to continue that talk about Richard Norton as I look back on Ironheart. And then there will be another one later in the month, which is TBD, but who knows what it could be. As always, I will probably fall down the Tubi rabbit hole and see what I can come up with. I understand that you got some recommendations that I would have loved to possibly use for No Surrender Cinema, Brain. You got kind of the double whammy of some of my Kung Fu favorites this past week.
Did I?
You got a Barry Chan and Raymond Blue.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Raymond. Yeah, that is right. That was just one random night where I was say, "What do you have for me, Tubi?" And yeah, it was called The Canton Kid. And I'm like, ooh.
Yes, that is on my watch list.
I said, ooh, Canton. I almost was going to give it to
Ohio.
No, Cantonese. But listen, but it's called the Canton Kid.
I thought it was like a guy fighting around the Pro Football Hall of Fame or something.
And that's where I was going. I'm like, if it was Matt Spector, he would want to review it when like they did the Hall of Fame thing in Canton. I'm like, okay, and then I clicked it because I was about to send it to him. I'm like, you need to do this on Hall of Fame weekend or when the game gets played, whatever the fuck they do. I don't know. And then I saw the first
in August.
Well, hey, Matt Spector, he'll plan fucking ahead. Toyman can't plan 2 weeks ahead. Matt Spector could tell you something he's doing in September or August. But yeah,
I just have so much on my watch list. I just don't know what I'm going to narrow it down to. That's what it is.
You're amazing. Anyway, listen. So then I opened it up. I'm like, okay, I got to click. The first goddamn name is goddamn Barry Chan. I'm like, nope. Nope. And then I went down a little bit more and I saw the Raymond dude. And I was like, okay, I'll watch this one because I don't have a problem with Raymond. Everybody loves Raymond, right? So I clicked it.
I've heard.
I clicked it and Tiger Jump, 11 Bastards made the list. Count the Bastards. What a wonderful addition from last year. It will continue in 2026.
Speaking of Barry Chan, the Mean Streets of Kung Fu episode of the podcast has yet to make it to the YouTube channel. So maybe once it does, more people will be in tune.
Once we put that up there, we are all going to be millionaires, aren't we? Because everybody loved goddamn
more people will be in tune. They will find out that he's the unsung hero.
Exactly. 2 hours after it's posted, Ryan Campbell will be like, we have enough to go. We've been
we can all quit our jobs. We're full-time YouTubers.
We've been monetized. Where can I have your mailing address? They're going to send you the fucking silver award.
Hey, it can happen fast. I had a YouTube video on my other channel pop off the day after Christmas, Brain. It's been awesome.
Well, I know you were very excited about that, and I don't blame you. It's very exciting times. But yeah, we'll eventually get. Ryan Campbell's not very good about when I put archive posts up in the thing or shows.
Yeah, I get better about that. It's been a resolution, Brain. And
how motivated am I going to be to make up one for Barry Chan? So that's got a double whammy against, but we'll try to get that up there and more from the archives. But of course, you can listen to that episode on any of your podcasting platforms, folks. It's there it's been there all along. It was right in front of you this whole time.
Right under their noses.
And if you're waiting on YouTube, well, I mean, I understand. We're happy for the people who listen on YouTube. We're happy for if you're listening on a soup can somehow, good for you. I don't know how you did it, but good for you. We appreciate it. And I think that's all I have to say. Anything else? I think we've all went around the table. What do I have? Nothing else. All I have to do is say thank you so much. And as always, stay tuned for more of the Bulletproof Podcast.